Hi everyone, Jodie Porteous here. I'm the tax agent and chief educator at Northwest Accountancy. Along with tax, accounting and bookkeeping advice, I also teach people about cash management strategies. And so today I'm focusing on how to manage your expenses. So let's talk about definitions first. A cost is something that adds no value to the business at all. A cost adds no value to the business at all. So it's unutilized, finished services, or something you're no longer using, or something you're paying for that has no benefit at all to making income or increasing the profits of your business. As an example, at Northwest Accountancy, we were paying for a storage shed for our archiving. Now, this had no bearing at all on being able to make an income or keep an income going. It was just purely a cost to the business that we had to pay out for storing our paperwork. Since we've been digital, we've been able to get rid of that cost and saves us quite a substantial amount of money every single month. So that's a cost. Next, we're looking at expenses. So there's a link with expenses between generating the income that you receive and paying the expense, such as wages and telephone bills. If you didn't pay for those things, then it would be really hard for you to generate an income, or it would be much harder to do your work. Imagine only having to do your work all by yourself and not having somebody else to help you. So there's a link with your expenses between the income and the expense. Now, there is ways that you can classify your expenses as being very, very important, super important, or slightly important. And so today we're going to talk about how to classify them and prioritize them as well. Next, we've got your investments. So traditionally, we think of an investment as an asset that you purchase for your business, such as a piece of equipment or an investment into shares or another business to gain a dividend. Now, this isn't the only type of investment, because an investment can be a line item on your profit and loss statement. It might be something like a business coach or some training that helps you level up and can create or let you earn significantly more money than what you would have if you hadn't have done that training or engaged that coach. An investment creates more income, or it can create more time for you to be able to do the things that create more income. So an example of this would be some automation software that creates a time saving for you that's no longer manual and more automated or computer generated. So an example of this would be if you're doing your record keeping in an Excel spreadsheet, you want to change to Xero, then this would be something that would be an investment. You're reducing the amount of time that it takes for you to do your bookkeeping, and because of the automation functions in it, it will be more accurate as well. So we've got those three definitions of costs, expenses, and investments. Now, where do you start when you're defining these things? We want to define them because it then helps us make decisions around which ones are important to keep and which ones are ready to go. And why do we want to cut costs? Well, it's the costs that we want to cut, not the expenses, or maybe reduce some expenses, but not cut the expenses, and certainly not cut the investments. It's only the costs that we want to cut. So if you want to cut costs, you're cutting those things out that have no value to the business at all. So if it's obvious that it's a cost, you can get rid of it straight away. Figure out when the timing of that is. So are you locked into any particular contract, or can you cut it today? Or is it something that you need to cut off bit by bit? So reduce the amount that you're using and then get a better or get a better price. So my cost is insurance. It's an expense that you have to pay, but it's not really adding value to your business unless that one time when the risk that you're insuring against actually happens. And so I'm a big believer that you get what you pay for, but some insurance policies, you pay for so much and it's the same level of service and the same level of claims that you are able to get for half or a third of the price. So always cost insurance, go see. I'm not telling you to cut that cost, I'm telling you to go see if you've got a better price somewhere. But also check, are you paying for something twice? Are you paying for duplicates that you don't need? Get rid of one, keep the best one. Now, why is cutting costs important? Why is knowing what you're spending on costs and expenses and investments important for you? Well, it's really important because some businesses don't even pay attention to their costs. And they think that making the income will have the biggest impact on their profitability, not realizing that there's a leaky tap in the background just dripping away their money. By paying attention to your costs, you increase the chances of making a profit in your business. Around 83%, give or take, 83% of businesses struggle making a profit. Not only struggle making a profit, which is on their profit and loss statement, but they struggle with their cash flow. If you're a business, one of the 83% of businesses that are struggling with their cash flow, it's time for you right now to review your costs. We want your business to make a profit so that it can be a healthy business, so that it can provide the lifestyle that you need to keep your business happy, to keep you happy. Now, because this is part of evolution training, I love the practical aspect of running your reports and checking to see how you can figure out your costs versus your expenses versus your investments. So I'm going to give you 5 practical tips on how you can review your costs, expenses, and investments. Tip number 1, review your bank statements with some colored highlighters. Green for keep. You can use whatever colors you like. Green for keep, so those would be your investments. Yellow for expenses, so if you can get a better deal for them, go for it, but you're happy to pay them because they're making you money or making you more profit. And then red or pink for those costs that you need to review, cut, or reduce. That's a nice simple one. Print out your bank statements, maybe a month, maybe a couple of months, and see where you're at. Go through with the highlighter. It might take half an hour or an hour to do. And if you can cut out a couple of $100 a month, how's that going to make you feel? For an hour's worth of work, saving not only a couple of $100 now, this month, but all of the months into the future. Practical tip number 2 is run some reports in your accounting software. So for this, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at MYOB first. Actually, I'll just share the whole screen. Now, MYOB. So in MYOB, we can run a couple of different reports to see what we're spending our money on. So if you use your bank register, you'll be able to see what the bank statement says. So it's probably not a great report to run. And I'm just going to go back 2 years. So this is your withdrawals and your deposits and your withdrawals and your deposits. An easy way to manipulate this screen is to click on the word withdrawal, and then you can see where all your money is going. And so there's some insurance stuff there. We've got some Telstra, we've got some superannuation. So superannuation would be an expense for your wages. So if it's a good staff member, paying good wages, paying good superannuation, keep it. Some car repair maintenance, electricity. So electricity is an expense rather than a cost because it keeps the lights on, keeps the computer running, keeps the phone charged. So it's a matter of identifying which ones are important and can you get a better deal. So in some areas, you can get a better deal for electricity if you look. In other areas where there's only one electricity provider, you can't change that unless you want to do an investment, for example, into solar panels. So that's the first way in MYOB. The second way is to run a report. And so we've got the cash disbursements report. I'm not sure what this report's going to look like. So we're just using the Clearwater, which is the demonstration company. So it's got your payroll in there. It's got different types of costs, so who you've paid, the date, and what it's for. So those trade creditor ones have been put in as bills, and I'll show you how to look at the bills in a minute. These ones that have gone straight to accounting fees, then that is the line item that it is. So car expenses, accounting fees, bank charges. But this one here is creditors, so you have to go back and have a look at your creditor listing. So you can run through that with a highlighter or export it to Excel and classify it into columns. So to export your MYOB into Excel, it's a nice quick click. And you can sort it into columns, keep, to get rid of, declutter, or keep, ask for a better deal, whatever you need to do. Is it a cost, is it an expense, is it an investment? The other report in, so that didn't actually open my Excel, that's fine. So the other report you can use if you're using the bills function in MYOB is the supplier payment history. So this one's really cool. You can run that report for the date ranges that you want to. And it doesn't have to be as long as what I've got on the screen. So that's 2 years. It can be for a quarter. It can be just for the last BAS period when you're running those reports. So your supplier payment, this supplier is called cash purchases. So that's not fun. Make sure you have good record keeping to be able to use your MYOB file to do this exercise. You've paid Clear and Bright filters a few times throughout the years, Kirby a few times throughout the years. So this one has a lot of black lines on it, so it's not pretty on the eyes to look at. And then the last one in MYOB is to look at your analyze purchases supplier multi-period report. And so this one gives you a month by month report. And I need to find the right dates. So because it's in the PDF format, not the Excel format, you can't see all the rest of the months, but it gives you a list of the suppliers and each month and how much. So I think there's stuff in April for this client or for these payments. So it's all around finding that right report that works for you. And this one, obviously, you can also export to Excel and get the rest of the data on that screen. So those are the reports you can run in MYOB to make it easy for you to identify who you're paying and what you're paying for, to figure out if it's a cost or an expense or an investment. Now let's have a look at Xero. So I'm going to share my other screen. Find my Xero, here we go. So yet again, using the demo company to figure out what it is that we want to look for. So when we're looking, we can run the business bank account transactions report and click on the word spent. And that puts everything in order so we can see that we've got some bank fees. Always ask for a better deal from your bank, you never know. NAB, Woolworths, David Jones, Xero. So Xero is one of those expenses or even investments. So if you hate doing bookkeeping manually, then it would be an investment because it's quite automated. But if you're a business It could be an expense as well because it's not high on your priority. So we go through and have a look at all of the expenses, classify it. Is it a cost that you need to get rid of? Is it an expense that you need to review? Or is it an investment that's definitely worth keeping? And how you classify it is up to you. So even though I gave you an example of some training as an investment, the training may not have been an investment. It may have just been purely a cost because you didn't get out of it what you thought you were going to. Okay, let's have a look at the next report. So that was your straight bank review. In reports, we've also got your income and expenses by contact report. So that's under accounting, income and expenses by contact. And then from here, we can run a filter. So this will give us both income and expenses. So we can change the filter type to just expenses, apply that and update. And it will just give us our expenses. And you can see we've paid ABC Furniture some expense, $6,300 going out. That's why it's a minus, it's leaving the bank account in August. Yet again, this is demo company, so it's not real money, real data. It is real money. And you can change your period. So if you want to have a look for the whole year, change it, press the update, and it comes on and shows you all of that information. So yet again, my company has only got a few months worth of data in it. You can export to PDF or Excel or Google Sheets and manipulate that how you need to. Yet again, you can print it straight from here, use the highlighters, green, yellow, and pink to identify what's the cost, what's the expense, and what's the investment. So that's the second way that you can review your costs using your accounting software, whether you're using MYOB or Xero. The third way that you can review your costs and expenses is just when you're doing your bank reconciliations. So when you're reconciling your accounts, you can have a look then. And it's not a very big way, a time-consuming way for you to review the costs and expenses. You might have a little notepad or a whiteboard that you have sticking up somewhere in your office that you go, okay, well, these are the ones that I want to review. And when you notice it coming out of your bank account, you can take that 1 minute of your day, 1 whole minute to go, is this a cost and expense or an investment? And if it's a cost, try and get rid of it or reduce it or scale it back a little bit. If it's an expense, are you paying the right amount or does this need to go back as well? Is it super important or is it not very important? So every day when doing your bank rec, write it down and then schedule in some time. So tip number 4, schedule in some time, 15 minutes on every week or every fortnight, however much time you think you have, schedule that time in so that you can work on reducing those expenses because they're not going to cancel by themselves. They're not going to give you a better deal just because. It's not a unicorn where you go, oh, this is a cost and I need to get rid of it, and it just gets rid of itself. You have to book the time in and you have to get rid of it. You have to make that phone call or log in and cancel a subscription. Or I've had people say, I've just cancelled the card, and when they rang me, didn't give them new ones. So whatever works to cancel those costs that you don't need to spend anymore. And the last one, well, it's not really a practical way, but it's a very good reminder. Tip number 5, if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you don't ask for a better deal from your insurance company, from your subscription, from your telephone provider, from your electricity provider, whoever you're paying, if you don't ask for a better deal, they're never going to give you a better deal. So ask. Review, either review your bank statements or your bookkeeping software or your reconciliations. Identify some time in your week where you can get rid of that cost, and then go ahead and ask for a reduction in cost or cancel it. Now, I hope that gives you some really good perspective and information on how to move forward, cut your costs, and make more profit in your business. And why do you want to make profit in your business? So that you can do what's important for you. You can build a lifestyle that you want because your business is able to pay you. And if you can cut a couple of $100 a month out of your expenses, out of your costs, then that business can pay you that much, right? Anyway, hopefully this has given you some perspective, and I encourage you and challenge you over the next few months to try and cut some of those costs, reduce them down, ask for a better deal, whatever it is that you need to do. Thanks for watching.